We've looked at the nature of mass communication organizations. Now, let's look at the role of mass communication in society. Mass communication plays 5 main roles in society. In this presentation, we'll review the first. There's surveillance, interpretation, linkage, establishing values, and entertainment. The surveillance role of media. That's not snooping, but the news and information role of the media. The media teaches us about things, and one type of surveillance is warning surveillance. For example, this publication by the Naples Daily News teaches us about hurricanes. This article predicts the end of the world. Well, it was in my Google News feed, so it must be true. Another type of surveillance is helpful tips for everyday living. That's called instrumental surveillance. But relying on the media for news and information has consequences. The media makes mistakes. Speed kills accuracy. The faster news is reported, the fewer gatekeepers check the content. The fewer gatekeepers, more errors. The New York Post cover on the right is a classic example. The headline's wrong. Gephardt was not the vice presidential candidate. How did this happen? The Post relied on an inside tip for the headline. They rushed the paper into the street to beat the competition. Unfortunately, the tip was wrong. This is another famous example from the Boston Marathon bombing. The Post received a tip that these 2 men were wanted in connection with the bombing. They weren't. The 2 men sued the Post and won. Sometimes the media can be tricked. This headline points out efforts to influence reporting on the recent election. And sometimes the media lies. Media can make up stories to influence public opinion or just to increase profits. And sometimes the media is just confusing. This 2016 article from CNN implies coffee can cause cancer. This article, published almost exactly 1 year later, suggests drinking coffee leads to a longer life. Even more confusing is that CNN used the same graphic for both articles. This leads us to the concept of credibility. Who do you trust? Several years ago, Walter Cronkite was called the most trusted newsman in America. But how about now? Do you trust Breitbart, CNN, the National Enquirer, NPR? It's so easy to doctor images or just lie on social media. Can you trust anything you receive over Twitter or Facebook? One widely known creator of fake internet news boasted in an interview that it's just satire. The only way to protect yourself against both psychological noise and errors in surveillance is to consume more than one source of news. Another consequence of surveillance is anxiety. Is Planet X really going to destroy the world? The more attention we pay to the news and information role of the media, the more worried we are about our lives. This is a single screen capture from the CNN Health section. 4 stories, all designed to lure us in by making us afraid. In addition to anxiety, mass media can generate false hope. If I lose weight, eat chocolate and spicy foods, and take blood pressure pills, I won't have to worry about dementia. One of the more subtle consequences of surveillance is inflated status. It's the belief that only really important events are covered in the media. In this example, tasty food parking fines, and street names are far more important than the Texas hurricane. How many times do stories about celebrities or cute animals show up in your Facebook feed? How many of you follow the Twitter feeds of celebrities rather than traditional news outlets? What we learn from consuming surveillance helps define us as a society. We learn what is really important to our lives. In the next presentation, we'll look at interpretation.